Hey everybody, welcome to Come On Ref. I'm your host Aidan, here with my co-host Chad.
Chad.
What's good, everybody? Today we're gonna have some different topics for you. Obviously, we got to start with the breaking of one of the most to be thought unbreakable records in all sports. Then we're gonna get into a little bit of trade talk with Kyrie Irving and where how he fits with the Mavs. Then we're gonna get into a little bit of quarterback conversation and how much that matters. And then we're going to hit you guys with a new segment called a three and out, get a couple of our thoughts out, and go on about our day. Starting with the points record in the NBA, Chad. How do you feel about it? LeBron breaking the record of Kareem.
You know, I've been around a long time, man. I don't necessarily remember, 1984 when Kareem,
Right.
I don't remember that time, but I can remember obviously looking up the records from, being a kid. I've always read about sports. I've always been obsessed with, trying to read everything I could when I was a kid about sports. And this was always one of those records that was deemed untouchable. And then Jordan was Jordan, and when he didn't get close, really, okay, and then Kobe didn't really get that close, and it's like, okay, nobody's really going to touch this record, right? And it's just like it was crazy. It was obviously it's been impending. I mean, we knew it was inevitable. You knew it was going to come. You knew it was going to happen this season. But watching last night, it was like goosebumps. I mean, instant chills just all over my body, man. It was like I can't believe I just saw this happen. And
Yeah.
that's like my wife and I were watching. I just kept looking at her. I'm like, I can't believe I just watched this. I can't believe I just saw this happen. And I find myself saying that, as I look back about, for the years that I've watched LeBron James, I've said that so many times. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this happen right now. And somehow at almost 40 years old, he's done it again to me, man.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Um, it's just watching greatness at the highest level for the longest.
Yep.
I think that's the craziest thing.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
been doing it at such a high level for so long. At this point in everybody else's career that was, scoring this much, they were going like this. LeBron's averaging 30 points a game in the last two seasons.
Right.
Um, excuse me, I'm probably going to go on a little bit of a rant here. Um,
I like rants.
I think, to me, this would have to solidify him as the greatest player of all time
Okay.
for a few reasons. First, longevity. Okay, people are going to talk about this stat being a volume stat. It is, kind of. He's averaged 25 points a game since he came into the NBA, except for one season when he was a rookie and averaged 20. Um, but also, that takes consistency. He never took a year off, didn't go to play minor league baseball. Um, and every team he's ever been on has had a chance to go to the finals pretty much. Every team he's been on has won an NBA championship. You can talk about it however you want. When LeBron leaves a team, I'll just start from the beginning. LeBron leaves to go to Miami Heat in 2010, 2011. That season, the Cavs go from the first seed in the East to 19 and 63 the next year, last in the East. LeBron goes four seasons with the Heat, leaves to go back to Cleveland. The Heat go 37 and 45 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Then he goes back to the Cavs. He goes there for four seasons once again. He leaves. They go 19 and 63 once again.
And by the way, just to touch on this, these last 8 seasons that you've talked about with Miami and Cleveland, 8 straight trips to the finals.
Eight
So there's
straight
that.
trips. 8 straight trips. 10 in his career because he's that good.
Yep.
Next. Then he goes to the Lakers, obviously, and the Cavs go 19 and 63 the next year. You can say Jordan's a ceiling raiser because he is.
Mhm.
He might take you from a good team to a great team. LeBron will take you from the worst team in the league to we will make the NBA Finals and have a chance to win a championship. He
Truly.
is the greatest floor raiser of all time. Michael Jordan, when he retired for a year, the team went 55 and 27. We're the third ranked team in the East. They lost in 7 games in the conference semifinals to the Knicks.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously Jordan comes back the next year against the Magic. They lose, but then they go on another three-peat. So he raises a ceiling. LeBron both raises the floor to the max it can possibly be. The floor for LeBron in his prime was the finals.
Yeah.
The floor for Michael Jordan was a first round exit.
For 7 years at the beginning of his career. I mean,
First round
yeah.
exit.
Yeah, I mean,
But he raises the ceiling. But the ceiling with LeBron is also win a championship.
Yeah.
That was the ceiling with Jordan.
Sure.
LeBron passed Jordan in less shots and with more points. He was a more efficient scorer. LeBron shot 55% has shot 55% from two for his career. Jordan shot 51.
Yeah.
He shot 34% from three for his career. Jordan shot 32. He shot 50% from the field for his career. Jordan shot 49. He's a more efficient scorer. Okay, yeah, free throws. Congratulations. LeBron has never led the league in shoot attempts, in shooting attempts. Jordan's done it every year. He won the scoring title. But people want to talk about scoring titles and accolades like that. That's also a volume stat. If you shoot the most, you're going to have the most points, most likely.
It is important how you get there.
But LeBron James has done everything more efficiently while also being fourth in assists, top 10 in steals, and
top 10 in defensive rebounds.
Yep, second in final scoring, not behind Michael Jordan, behind Jerry West, and then first all time in playoff scoring. Is the highest wins above replacement player ever in the final, and not in the finals, in the playoffs. I'm sorry. It's not even close between him and Jordan in that respect. I just don't think there's much of an argument left for Jordan other than 6-0 in the finals. But then you're discrediting everything until 1991. Right. So, you can take it however you want, but I think Jordan's the second best player of all time. I'll never say he's not that.
Yeah.
There's more of a lore and a myth to Michael Jordan because there wasn't as much social media and stuff. You can't see as much.
Yes.
So that nostalgia factor comes back in for people. But when it comes down to it, there is no player you'd rather take if you needed to get to the NBA Finals and win than LeBron James.
No, I mean there's not. And it's some things that you said, and listen, I'm a little older. I grew up watching Michael Jordan. That's my wheelhouse. I was very passionate about the Bulls because of Michael Jordan when I was a kid. I wasn't a true Bulls fan, but you had to watch Michael Jordan play.
Right.
And for a long, long time, I resisted. I said, listen, I see this guy's 6'9", 270, literally runs like the wind. I mean, could probably, if he really wanted to, put his chin on the top of the glass. Shoots well, passes well, rebounds, sees the floor. Basketball IQ is literally off the charts for LeBron. And I just kept resisting for a while. I'm like, but it was Jordan. Because, the Nike commercials and Mars Blackman and the shoes and my childhood, man. Don't mess with my childhood. But it's the eye test for me. Like you said, any team that LeBron is on has a legitimate shot not only to get to the playoffs and to get through, to get to make a deep run, but to get to the finals and win it. I mean, that 2007 team,
awful.
That Cavaliers, I don't mean to disparage anyone because they were all obviously professional basketball players, right. But that has to be the worst team of all time to go to the finals.
I agree.
I mean, is it close? I don't know. I don't think it's close. That's just the thing for me. LeBron has, in my mind, I don't know. It's the all-around game. It's like I said, the passing, the rebounding. Jordan was a great defender, but LeBron.
I'd say Jordan was maybe more of if at his best, maybe a little better perimeter-wise. It's very close.
But Jordan couldn't defend all five spots. I mean, he could slide down and he might be able to disrupt, Patrick Ewing or get a steal or whatever. Maybe kind of be a nuisance, but LeBron can literally body all five positions on the floor at any given time. And I think that's underrated. It's something that we kind of overlook with LeBron because of, everything else. I don't know. To me, it's really close, but I think LeBron, it's not just the scoring title. It's everything. It's the 8 straight trips to the finals. It's, right. To me, I think it's hard for me to say this. It really is. It's not easy. I don't, take any joy in I'm not trying to bash Michael Jordan, but I do think LeBron has passed him as the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
It's again, it's the eye test, it's the accomplishments, it's everything. It's the total package. It's just who he is as a player. I don't know that anyone's had more impact.
No. And yeah, like it's not all about the scoring title, like as
No.
the most points all time, but the main objective of basketball is to put the ball in the basket. And
Yeah.
he has done it at such a high level for 20 straight years
Yeah.
that he passed everybody.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
And the thing that people said, scoring is not his best ability, it's his passing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't compete with that.
No,
He's
you
a
can't.
different guy.
No, you can't.
Um,
And I like what you said. I like a floor raiser versus a ceiling raiser. I think any program or franchise or whatever level that you're playing at, if you're that close, to being a championship team, I think you want the floor raiser. I mean, I think the ceiling can be raised by team effort when you're that good. Maybe coaching. There's little things that can help, but it's really hard to raise the floor for a bad team. And to drag them along like LeBron has on a few of the teams he's been on. It's pretty impressive.
yeah. Now let's talk about one of LeBron's most interesting teammates, Kyrie Irving. He was just traded to the Mavs for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first and 2 seconds. How do you feel about that, Chad?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel about that by asking you a question. What is the remaining length of Kyrie's contract?
Oh no.
You know what it is? It's not good for Dallas. Listen, something that you said before the show made me laugh because it was so true, and it's the way I've kind of been feeling. You said the Kyrie trade that happened to Dallas, and I can't help but feel that way. I mean, listen, that's Luka's team, okay?
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Kyrie has had kind of a problem where he's had issues where he's not perceived to be the alpha guy on the floor, right? Or on the team, whatever. It doesn't even on the floor because take Luka out, it's not going to do it any good. And I just wonder, like, has he kind of ruined his prime as an athlete by being this, like, sort of like perceived as a malcontent? Like, he has to be the guy so badly that he's run himself out of a couple of what should have been really good situations. And what makes us think that he's going to be able to play alongside Luka and suddenly, give up that mindset now and help push Dallas to a championship? I don't know.
Yeah, it's super hard because adding Kyrie obviously as a talent is special.
Sure.
You can't deny the talent.
No.
You have to question how much he's going to be on the floor, when he's going to play. But he's been somewhat reliable this year, except when he got suspended because he wouldn't take back some remarks that are or some tweets posted about something that we're not going to mention here. But he's been fairly consistent this year. Obviously, he's 50, 40, 90 almost like past 4 years. I mean, he's ridiculously talented.
Yes.
On the court fit, I'm not as worried about.
Okay.
As a secondary option on court, you've seen that work.
Yeah.
Period.
When he's in the right when he's in the right headspace, that works, and it will work if he's in the right headspace.
That's not the biggest problem for me. I've seen that work. I've seen, him go screen for LeBron. I think they'll do a lot of that stuff in the playoffs with Luka, him screening for Luka, them playing off that. Luka drawing two and swinging to Kyrie, and now he's playing against closeouts and in a rotating defense, and you're just done for. But
it's gonna be some scoring opportunities.
About how much this has costed Dallas. The biggest thing that's costed them is not signing Jalen Brunson to $60 million. Jalen's making a little over 25. I'm pretty sure his contract's 4 years, 104 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
He's averaging 23 and 6 this year.
Yep.
As a point guard for the Knicks. So
now do Kyrie.
If you add it all up together, for a guy on a 1-year expiring contract who might not re-sign with you, not traded, but it costed you not re-signing Brunson, Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first and 2 seconds.
It's a big haul.
That's bad management by the Mavs. Because especially if Kyrie leaves, they have to have some confidence that he'll be back if they make the trade, right? But especially if Kyrie leaves, what are you left with? And what is going to prevent Luka from saying, "No, I want out of here"?
That's what worries me about that situation.
Because now you could have a chance of losing a generational talent.
Yep.
So you're on the brink of the brink of a full rebuild if Luka demands a trade.
Right.
And you
so
get a player that good again.
Yeah. And now you've lost Kyrie and Luka within, probably you would think close to a calendar year of each other if that's how it goes down. Luka's not going to spend 2 or 3 or 4 years of his prime, as the 12 seed in the West. I mean, he's going to want to do something. And that's why I don't worry about the on-floor aspect of the talent. Like you said, if Kyrie's in the right headspace, that clearly works. I just don't know how often, and some of it's perception, I think, because of the media. We tend to see him painted in kind of a bad light, especially in the cities that he's played in and left. Now there are two, that are maybe not happy with him, but I just three. Yeah, I tried to give maybe some cities the benefit of the doubt, but I just worry about how that's going to go on the court and how quickly that's going to blow up in Dallas's face. And I don't want to see it blow up on the Mavericks, but I worry about that. I do worry about, like you said, in a year or two, Kyrie's gone, Luka's gone, and the Mavericks are completely starting over.
Yeah. And most importantly, I don't think this truly makes them a contender in the West.
No.
I don't think it does enough. They have no defensive ability. That's my biggest thing. They're going to be able to get buckets probably whenever they want to, if they're all right? But how do you expect to get stops with Luka and Kyrie both playing? Christian Wood is your center, who's not a great rim protector. Not that switchable, really. He's decent when he's locked in, I guess. But most of the time he's played on bad defenses.
Yeah.
Never been a part of a good defense.
Yeah.
Now you're going to rely on young guys like Josh Green to come in and take assignments for you that with Kawhi. Like, I don't know if Josh Green's ready for power wings like Kawhi and Paul George.
We're going to see.
In the West. Reggie Bullock's a decent defender, but he's getting older. So it's all, you're just playing a dangerous game of going bucket for bucket, because what if one night Kyrie doesn't have it, so your points are down 25 points, and the next night Luka doesn't have the step backs going, so you're down 30 points that you thought you normally have. So in a series, now it's 2-2 when you thought it would be 4-0, because they're not scoring the right way. Now you're in a dogfight.
Right. And we've seen, you've seen Steph Curry and Klay Thompson both, go away on any given night. It's happened in the playoffs. And I mean, Kyrie and Luka are great, but these two aren't the Splash Brothers, man. They're not shooting almost 50% from three. It's, they're going to have some bad nights, and they're going to lose some games. They're going to have some great nights and lose some games 148-140. I mean, it's going to happen. I just, like you said, I don't think I don't know. It's like that you haven't really, sometimes all the time when you trade, you want to try to trade from a position of strength to bring back something that puts you over the edge. And I think Dallas has traded from a position of just above mediocrity to give them some more scoring. I don't know. It didn't really, like you said, it just didn't feel like it made sense to me. I don't know. I'm not sure what it does on their end. I'm not sure why they were involved or why they were that interested. I don't know.
Just there's got to be some questions there. Mark Cuban's been a good owner for them, been loyal to his guys, but now you got to question, what was his? Maybe he does have a big plan for this.
He's got to have a plan. He's a smart guy.
Oh, he's a smart guy. I heard they're trying to get back in the trade market for more guys. But they tried to make it a 3-team deal. It doesn't seem like it really worked to do that. So now you got to move on with the team you have, which is, you're not gonna beat the Nuggets. Probably not gonna beat the Clippers. So there's some, the Kings are playing really good basketball. I don't know if the Kings are that good in the playoffs, right?
We'll see.
It's their first year. They're young.
Yeah. They seem
younger.
like a team like the Cavs last year who, when you get to where the rotations change and things become a little more tense, I'm not saying they're going to fall apart, but they feel like a team that could, make a pretty early exit in their growth.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens
Yeah.
for the Nets. I think it's a good deal on short notice,
Yeah.
getting a good defender in Dorian Finney-Smith
Yeah.
who can shoot the three. Spencer Dinwiddie can create off the dribble and he can attack the rim decent. He's no Kyrie, obviously, that's
Right.
from a skill level, but he's a solid basketball player. You get a first in 2 seconds with it.
Yeah.
Now you just got to see if KD's willing to stay now.
That was my neck. Yep.
That becomes a question because obviously he could want out and want to go somewhere else and play for a contender if he doesn't think the team's a contender.
Right.
Maybe he does.
Who knows?
But we'll see.
It's going to play out.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to go through, Boston and Philly.
Yeah.
I think, obviously the Bucks with the best player in the world in Giannis, that's gonna be hard to go through always.
Right.
But we'll have to see what happens. They're a good basketball team. I know Cam Thomas is coming on the scene with 3 straight 40-point games, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to have to watch it play out. I'm skeptical about how it's going to work out for Dallas, but maybe I'm totally wrong. We'll see.
Right. Moving on to a little bit of Super Bowl talk. Some people haven't really liked this as a subject. I think it's very important to talk about.
Yeah.
2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl for the first time.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Jad, I'll let you speak on it first.
Listen, I think it shows. Well, it's kind of a catch-22 for me because it's been 57 years of Super Bowls.
Right.
And this is the first time that we've seen a matchup between 2 black quarterbacks. That you can look at that and say, okay, that's mildly disappointing. You can focus on the negatives, and I think that certainly some people have. I've it's hard to read social media sometimes when it comes to these topics. I mean, it's really difficult. I don't see how you can see it as anything other than progress. I think it's great, and here's why. I mean, there are a multitude of reasons why, but to me, it pulls at my heartstrings. I'm a baseball guy, okay? Inner city communities just they don't see anyone that looks like them for the most part having any kind of success at a professional level in baseball, okay? It's starting to be a very expensive sport. It's like, man, like all these travel leagues, it's like thousands of dollars to get into it. It's just easier to go to the park and play basketball. I mean, it really is. And now, or even to have a pickup football game, it seems easier than to play baseball. I mean, all you need is an open field. With baseball, you need so many different things. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything, a driveway, But to me, I love that. Now, like African American kids have, they're a role model. They have something to look at and say, "Hey, look, man, we can do this."
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's not that in baseball. It's one of the things that breaks my heart about baseball. It's just, you're losing that demographic, and not only as from the standpoint of viewership, but I mean, how many athletes are you losing that could be generational talents in the major leagues? But it's easier to slide to basketball and football because baseball seems so exclusive sometimes. And I just think that this is it shows kids, hey, there's something to shoot for. Like you can achieve. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean there are certain things that are going to hold you back. But look, man, here are 2 guys who fought, who've busted through the wall, and maybe Patrick Mahomes is a little bit. I mean, obviously his dad played Major League Baseball. Okay, fine. He might have grown up with some money. Fine. That's not the point. The point is there's someone that they can see, that they can identify with, that looks like them, that has this success that they're dreaming of, and now it becomes a reality for them. And I love it. I mean, I think it's, like I said, it's a sign of progress.
Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get emotional here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But as a black man in America, or black person in America,
yeah.
You can believe what you want, but I mean it's shown.
Yep.
We are constantly held back. slow down in what we want to do. Um, and it takes a toll on communities because you
Can't
don't see
imagine.
the way out a lot. Um, this shouldn't be the first, you know, Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks.
No,
Um,
shouldn't.
Warren Moon had to go to the CFL before could come to the NFL, even though he was good enough to play right away.
Clearly good enough to play.
It's just hard because it feels always like there's more. How do I put this? It feels like they move the goalpost more for black athletes than they do for a white man. And
Yeah.
I have not like my mom's way, my stepdad's way,
No, I
but
understand. I see it too, man.
um,
I see it too.
um,
I
yeah,
can't even pretend that I can begin to, relate to it, but I can see it. I mean,
a lot of the talk recently has been about, oh, Jalen Hurts isn't that good. It's just his team. Their whole scheme is built around Jalen Hurts and what he can do as a football player on offense.
yeah,
You can put it how you want. They tried to put Josh Allen over Mahomes this year. They were going to try to put Burrow over Mahomes this year if he beat him in the playoffs.
yeah,
Um, I just don't hear the same thing said about, oh, Hurts got AJ Brown, that's why he's good. Well,
right,
well, well, Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs. Is that why he's good? He wasn't good before that.
right.
Um,
I mean,
I
Patrick Mahomes has speed and weapons all over that offense.
I don't hear I don't hear
Not that
Joe
he's,
Burrow.
not that he falls into that
Sorry,
category, but I'm just saying we praise some guys.
right. I don't hear Joe Burrow has 3 Pro Bowl receivers. You
Yeah.
know, on his team.
Jamar Chase makes it very easy, I would think.
Yeah. T. Higgins to just go up over somebody. You can get it.
Yep.
Tyler Boyd's one of the best slot receivers in the NFL with a Pro Bowl running back in Mixon. I just don't hear the same stuff. It just doesn't seem to be consistent in the way they talk about it and the chances that are given, especially.
And it starts very early too. We're not
Lamar,
that far removed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry,
No, you're good.
Lamar,
Yeah.
what, 15-1, 14-2 record, MVP, and he's made it to the divisional round twice.
Right.
But he can't win in the playoffs. He's not a quarterback. He's a running back. But when Josh Allen's the same thing,
He's athletic.
he's still this guy.
Yeah.
That's
Suddenly
special.
he's an athletic quarterback. Yeah. What?
The way Cam Newton played running over people, that won't last in the NFL. But when Josh Allen does it, it'll last.
Sure.
It just doesn't always add up. And I know some people are going to get angry and be mad about what I'm saying, and that's fine. I can't change the way people think.
No, you can't. It's a sensitive topic, and the fact is, there are a lot of people on the wrong side of it. I mean, that's just the fact. How can you choose hate, exclusivity, elitism, racism, whatever word you want to use? How can you choose that over just simple progress and caring about? I mean, we're all human beings, right? Like we live on the same planet. We walk upright. We eat the same foods. I mean, we're human beings, man. We should be working together to figure out how to make this a better place, not trying to carve our little pocket out of the world so no one can touch us and interact with them. I mean, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
just think about things like this. I want to bring up one example of this. This is we're not that far removed. This is he's an analyst for the 49ers. It's out there. I'm not releasing unknown knowledge. Tim Ryan, I think a few years ago, maybe 2019, he said about Lamar Jackson that he was so good at the play action because he can hide the ball because his skin is dark. And I mean, do you know how incredibly offensive that is? I mean, it just rolls right off the tongue for some people, and it's disheartening to hear it, man. All the talk, coming out of college. I mean, the guy Lamar Jackson was unbelievable at Louisville, and maybe nobody watched him because it was Louisville, but I don't think that's the reason that people talked about he should switches to running back or wide receiver. I remember hearing the words, "The quarterback position is a very cerebral position." What are you saying?
When there's like when Fields was coming out, they said, he's not in the film room enough. He doesn't process well enough. But Zach Wilson could from BYU somehow.
Right. Right.
It's always moved, depending on what you look. There's always a follower in the draft at quarterback.
Yeah.
They seem to look the same way a lot of the time.
Can't argue
Um,
that.
They also seem to say the same things about, oh, I was surprised by his processing ability, or oh, I don't know if he can do that in the NFL.
Right. Why?
Um,
Say it. Why? You know? Why? It drives me
it's always-
crazy.
It's always moved. It's always been harder. You know, you got to take 4 steps to be 1 step behind. It feels like looking like me. It's always like they get a head start, and you're just playing catch up for the rest of your life. So you just get even,
Yeah.
and that's hard sometimes.
Yeah. I can't imagine, man.
You know, it's getting better, but it's not easy. I mean, now in Florida and stuff, they're taking away. I mean, there's a book about Hank Aaron, like a children's book about Hank Aaron. They're taking that out.
Roberto
Can't
Clemente.
do that in libraries anymore and stuff.
Yeah, they're
so,
taking a book about Roberto Clemente. I mean, Roberto Clemente is a hero.
yeah.
I mean,
it's just
I
hard.
don't
They don't want to face the history, but if you don't face the history, yeah, how are you improving? And that goes with all things,
Yeah.
football included. We've done this so many times. So many times. How many times is there going to be a Will Levis that rises in the draft while a C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young falls? How long are we going to do it before we realize there's a pattern?
right.
Um,
When these guys pass the eye test, and then we go, well, but you know,
it's just,
it's the ceiling for Levis because he's got a big arm and he's cerebral and what?
it's ridiculous.
What? I
But
mean,
if you're going to say those things about Levis, you better say the same things about Anthony Richardson from Florida.
right?
So,
Exactly. They're the same type of prospect, but they're not talked about the same.
But there's always a difference.
Yeah.
And you gotta live with that difference. The way they treat things like they are older than they are.
Yeah.
You can go look and see Martin Luther King pictures in color. They're not just in black and white.
Right.
That was in the 1960s. Your grandparents were alive, I promise.
Absolutely.
So that makes it very hard because they want to date it like it's not that recent.
Right. And sweep it under the rug like it doesn't still happen.
Yeah.
And that's the most ignorant thing of all. I mean,
there's a bigger conversation to get in that. This is a sports show. We won't get into.
Yeah, we don't want to spend too much time. Or at least I don't. I can't relate to any of it, man, but I can't imagine what it must feel like.
But that's why this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Those kids, like how Black Panther was a big deal, the movie coming out, the first one.
Yeah.
Those kids are going to turn on the TV or go to the movies and see people that look like them the whole time.
Yep.
They're going to see Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes the whole time.
Yep.
They're going to be like, "Oh, I can do that. I don't have to just play receiver, DB, running back, or safety, or linebacker, or defensive end. I can play quarterback too."
Yep.
So
every little kid should be able to openly and freely dream about their success, no matter where they come from or what they look like. And it just, I don't. It's just.
And like you brought up some things. Mitchell Trubisky was the second pick of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
In the draft with Patrick Mahomes, I know he's terrible person. I will never say he's not. Deshaun Watson, if you want to call him what he is or what he's not, I think we can agree to call him a creep. I think that's fair.
There's something there. I mean, there's a lot of smoke. There probably is a little fire, and I do have a hard time with that one.
But you watch Clemson and you watch Texas Tech, and you told me Mitchell Trubisky after 1 year starting at North Carolina was better than those guys. I don't understand it. And then I watched Lamar play against Clemson when they were both like top 5 teams.
Yeah.
And Lamar went throw for throw, play for play with Watson.
Oh yeah.
Versus Louisville, and so I just don't understand the whole thing, man. It's hard. Baker's gotten multiple chances to start. Yeah. I don't think, if Kyler doesn't work out in Arizona, is he going to get another shot somewhere else?
Who knows? My suspicion now is no, probably not.
I feel like they're talked about different, but Kyler's been the better player for his career.
Yeah.
But it's hard, you know. I don't want to be too because there's obviously great. Joe Burrow is great. He's the second best quarterback in that.
Sure.
He's
Sure.
um
And I don't think anyone thinks, or assumes that you're trying to take anything away from white players at all. That's not the message here. And I think people need to realize that sometimes certain groups, at certain times, with things that happen in the world, maybe some groups need a little bit more, love and caring and attention at that time. It's not, well, hey, what about us? Well,
right.
it's been about us for thousands of years, man. Take it easy. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know why it can't be inclusive. I mean, there's all the whataboutism, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
If someone else is successful, it kind of makes me happy. Like I had tears in my eyes watching LeBron last night because I just envisioned him as a little kid, and every little kid that plays sports, that wants to play sports at a high level, you dream about one day standing on the court or the field or whatever, and it's just kind of being like that praise rained down on you because now you're considered the greatest ever. You've broken this unbreakable record, and I mean that was LeBron's reality last night, man. It made me well up, man. Like I was emotional watching it,
Yeah.
It just made me happy for him. I pictured little LeBron, man, like 5-6-year-old LeBron.
In Akron.
Yeah.
Inner city.
Yeah.
They
made it, man. He made it.
Many days because they were moving so much.
Yeah.
But speaking of unbreakable records, let's get to our new segment, our 3 and Out. We're gonna talk about some records we just don't think will be broken anytime soon or ever. So, Chad, what's your first one?
My first one, this was a tough one to pick. I don't know if my first one is necessarily my most unbreakable one.
Right.
But to me, it's just it's a I don't know. It's kind of a it's a shift in thought or whatever in the way that the game's played.
Right.
For me, it's LaDainian Tomlinson rushing for 28 touchdowns in the season.
Oh, yeah.
And you might look at that and maybe you pull up the list and you go, well, but there's 2 guys with 27. I mean, Priest Holmes, Sean Alexander,
right.
they rushed for 27 touchdowns. But I don't know if you know, since 2016, no one's even come closer than 18 touchdowns. Okay. Just this past year, Jamal Williams, for the Lions, led with 17. And by the way, we're talking about Jalen Hurts. He was tied for second with 13 rushing touchdowns this year. So you can see how the game's changing. I mean, now quarterbacks are running the ball more. There are no real, I don't want to say there are no, but there aren't that many true, 30 to 35 carry a game, 3 down backs anymore in the league. Right. There's too much wear and tear. You're investing too much money in these guys. It's running back by committee. It's, now it's the running game by way of the short pass. I mean, the high percentage little dump offs. I mean, you can get 6-8 yards. So that's better than a running game at certain points. You can get the ball out quick and you don't have to worry about a pass rush. There's no, nobody has to block for very long. I mean, it makes sense. So I don't think that anyone is ever going to touch that. I don't think anyone's going to rush for 28 touchdowns in a season. He had 31 total touchdowns. And I think the number that really stood out to me, he had 38 goal-to-go runs that season.
Wow.
He scored on 19 of them.
Jeez.
I think maybe 12 teams last year had that many goal-to-go runs.
Right.
The entire season. That's never going to happen again.
No.
That's my top one.
I think I'm going to do what I think will never be broken.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain, 60-point games. He has 32 of them. The second closest is Kobe with 6.
Right.
There's 2 players tied for third, James Harden and Damian Lillard with 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wilt was a different type of athlete. He was a 4'5" guy at 7 foot tall, almost.
Yep.
Like almost 4'5" guy at 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Playing against dudes that were maybe a little taller than us.
Yeah. 6'6", 6'7".
He
maybe.
Was just ridiculous. There's just not enough open space for you to score that much anymore. Like, there's just not that much of a matchup advantage.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so much advancement in just like evolution.
Yeah. That's where something you said earlier that doesn't really apply to this, but I'm going to use it. That's where floor raising comes in because now the bottom of the league is so much better,
Oh yeah.
So much better.
The worst player in the league is the best player, right, in the 60s or 50s, right?
Yeah.
From just a skill perspective and size and speed.
Sure. I mean, you have a couple guys you could bring, to today's game. We talked about. I think George Irvin is one. Dr. J. You could. Yeah. There are guys that would translate, but every guy now goes back and translates then.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous how different the game is now, and I just don't think anybody could possibly. I mean, Kobe. There was season where he was going to shoot that thing no matter what. I mean, when they had Smush Parker as their starting other guard, he looked at that dude and was like, "I'm shooting every shot."
Yep.
Yeah. He has 6 60-point games. So it's just, I just think it's unbreakable.
Yeah. Well, speaking of unbreakable, I've got a couple that I just feel like I tried to go with, okay, so LaDainian Tomlinson, sustained excellence over a season. Okay, I thought that was a good way to look at it. I wanted to go sustained excellence over one season that I thought no one's going to be able to do again. I wanted to do a longevity record and then one that's just like maybe a quick burst of pure greatness or luck or whatever you want to call it that's just never going to be matched or beaten again. I'm having a hard time. I want to go with Nolan Ryan. I thought about going with Cy Young's complete game record. Cy Young, let me just tell you right now, the active leader in complete games in Major League Baseball, it's almost embarrassing. It's not close. It's Adam Wainwright. He's got 28. Okay. He's 40 years old. Okay. So I would imagine next year would be his last season. If he can come up with 721 complete games, he can tie Cy Young. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. He's going to get 35 starts or so.
Right.
So the chances are low, but no one's ever going to touch that. That record is gone. No one's ever even probably going to throw 50 complete games again in a career. So 749 is pretty safe. And my other one there, the longevity, was Nolan Ryan's 5,714 strikeouts.
Wow.
Again, active leader right now, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer at just under 3,200 strikeouts. And this is they're 39 and 37 respectively. Verlander's 39, Scherzer's 37. They're both guys that could probably pitch a couple of years into their 40s. But I did the math on this. I want to make sure I have it right, so I'm going to look at my notes. I'm going to use Verlander as the example because he's technically in front of Scherzer by like 7 strikeouts, all time. So Verlander has averaged 188 strikeouts per season during his career. He's won multiple Cy Young awards. He's dominant, okay? He's averaged 188 strikeouts. He would have to amp that up to 200 strikeouts a year and then pitch for 13 more seasons. So he'd be 52 years old headed into that 13th season with maybe a minute chance to catch Nolan Ryan at that point. That's not going to happen.
Nobody could ever do that.
No. Those records aren't going down at all.
I'll stick with baseball and do a longevity one.
Okay.
Ricky Henderson.
Yep.
Stolen bases, 1,406.
Ridiculous.
He's got multiple 100 base stealing years. 130, I think he topped out at in a season.
Almost one a day.
Yeah. When he was in his prime, he got hurt one year. He called the steals leader for the season, and he told him Ricky would have 30 by the All-Star break, baby, and hung up. That's the kind of guy he was.
Two things Ricky and I and you probably have in common, man. I love me some Ricky, and Ricky loves him.
So. Ricky loved him some Ricky, and he was that good.
Yep. He can absolutely back it up. By the way, I don't know if you know, he leads the all-time. He's the all-time leader in leadoff home runs in Major League history too. So it wasn't just fast.
He was one of the best players of all time. It's not close.
Yeah, and he's kind of underrated a little bit. I don't think he's looked at in a lot of circles as that.
Catchers' pop times are faster nowadays too. Pitchers do a better job with slide steps and holding runners.
Absolutely.
So I think it's harder. I also think Ricky is just the best ever at stealing bases.
Let me ask you this: since we're talking about it, do you think that making the bases bigger? Second base is going to be a little bit bigger. You got a little more real estate to get in there. and then they're also limiting throws overs. You can only throw over to first so many times,
Right.
Which is absurd to me because if I'm anywhere near, quick, I'm
Right.
going on first movement. Like it's going to make base stealing, I think, come back into the game a little bit, but not to the point where anybody's going to catch Ricky Henderson, right? I mean,
No, I don't think so. I think also players are more scared of being bad at something or analytical wise, like, oh, if he only steals one out every 5 bases when he goes.
Yeah.
Ricky didn't care.
No, he didn't care.
Gonna go do it.
Ricky wasn't worried about the A's having something to use against him in arbitration hearings. He just was aggressive. I mean, Ricky just played the game. Ricky Henderson just played the game. I think he played the game a beautiful way. I loved watching Ricky Henderson play. I had the neon green batting gloves when I was a kid with the pads on the back. I mean, I loved Ricky Henderson.
Right. You got another one?
I do. This is my one. This was kind of like my quick short burst. Okay, it's baseball again because I love some of these baseball records. It's something that Johnny Vandermeer did back with the Reds in 1938. Back-to-back no-hitters. Okay. That's probably alone not going to happen again.
That's not even the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, and there's some cool history too because he threw the first one against the Boston Bees. They were only the Bees for like 5 seasons, and they went back to the Braves, ended up moving to Milwaukee, into Atlanta, eventually becoming my favorite team. But then 4 days later, against the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field, right? Historic Ebbets Field. Not only that, it was the first time they ever had the lights on, so they should have been able to see, right? Didn't matter. It didn't matter. Vandermeer was absolutely unhittable again 4 days later. I mean, 2 no-hitters in a row. No one's ever going to throw 3. That's not happening.
No.
That's absolutely not happening. I don't think anyone's ever going to throw 2. There have been guys that have been mentionably close, not mentionable enough to actually mention it here. The guys have come close. No one's ever going to throw 3. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, at a professional level, unbelievable.
I'll probably go with my most breakable of what I think are unbreakable is Derek Thomas had 7 sacks in a game.
Okay.
The reason that this is most breakable because weird stuff happens in sports, right? In one game. But I do think teams would sell their soul before they let one player get 7 sacks nowadays. Yeah. I just don't think they would ever let that happen.
No, you're kicking out a tight end, a running back. I mean, you're doing
something. They would
something.
block him with 3 guys before they let that happen. They would chip a running back and block a tight end in a tackle.
You're going to run some design rollouts the other way. You're going to completely take a guy out of the game at some point.
They just would never.
If there's a guy that's going to get 7 sacks, you've probably already planned for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you're going to do something. If there's a guy with 4 or 5 in the first half, like you're not just going to keep taking these 7-step drops and letting him pin his ears back and come after the quarterback. You're going to make some changes. I agree with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, guys. That was our new segment, 3 and Out. And I've been Aidan Vance. He's been.
I'll always be Chad Bryan.
There we go, baby. Thank you for watching Come On Ref. See you guys next time.
We'll see you next time. Thanks.